Hello artists, welcome back to the art room. Mrs. Larrabee here. We're going to have fun with symmetry today. The supplies that you'll need: one sheet of paper, scissors, and a pencil, and then your coloring supply. If you have paint or watercolor, I would suggest grabbing those. Crayons are going to work beautifully for this as well. All right, grab those supplies and we'll get started. This week we're talking about symmetry. Symmetry is something that we actually learn from nature. If you were to look at a butterfly's wings, you would see that both sides are a mirror image of each other. They're the same on both sides. Actually, that's a good definition of symmetry, the same on both sides. So on this butterfly's wing, if there's a dot on one side, there's going to be a dot on the other side. If there's a line on one side, there's going to be a line on the other side. The same would be true of other things that we find in nature. Here's a flower. If you were to draw a line down the center of this picture from the top to the bottom, you would see that both sides of the flower are a mirror image or the same. You would see that the petals on each side of the flower are shaped the same way. We're using the same colors. Even in animals we can see symmetry. If we were to draw a line from the top to the bottom on this picture of a peacock, we would see that the tail is the same on both sides. It has the same shape, the same type of feathers, the same colors. Even the face of the peacock, if you were to draw a line down the face of the peacock, you would see that it has an eye on both sides, that it has half its beak on both sides. Think about your own body for a moment. If you drew a line from the top of your head straight down the center of your body all the way to the ground, you would see that you have the same on both sides. You have half your body on one side and then a mirror image of that on the other. And we can use the same idea of symmetry, of being the same on both sides, in our artwork. It creates some really fascinating patterns and repetition and balance to our artwork. So we're going to have fun with it today. The first thing we need to do, everyone, no matter what supply you're using, needs to grab a sheet of paper. And we're going to fold it. We fold paper a lot this year, don't we? You guys are probably getting really good at it. We're going to line up our edges and we're going to make a crease down the middle. Sometimes we fold it because we're going to cut our paper, but today we're not. We're going to leave it folded kind of like a book. This would be the title of our book, the front cover of our book. And grab your pencil. We're going to use the shape of a butterfly in our artwork this week, but we're only going to draw one side. I'll show you why in just a moment. So I have it folded like a book, and on the cover of my book, I'm going to air draw to start with the shape of a butterfly. We're just going to practice. So take one finger. Let's practice drawing. We're going to start here on the side of our book. We're going to draw a diagonal line and a small curve and a larger curve and our largest curve. And we're going to bring it all the way back to our center line. All right, let's try it with our pencil now that we've practiced. We're going to start. I'm about 4 fingers down. I'm going to draw a diagonal line going up, and I'm going to draw a small curve, and I'm going to draw a larger curve, and I'm going to draw the largest curve, and I'm going to bring it all the way back. This is going to be the shape of our butterfly. Now we're going to open it up, and I want to show you an example of symmetry with paint. If you have paint, you can work along with me. If not, just hold on because we're going to use our crayons in just a minute to do something very similar. I'm going to hold up one half of my paper because I'm only going to be using this side. I'm going to paint one side and then I'm going to let the paint do the work of symmetry, okay? I'm going to start by showing you how to do this with acrylic paint or tempera paint. Here's what it looks like on my little palette here. If you're using watercolor, hold up just a minute. I'm going to show you how to use that next, okay? So just watch this part unless you also have paint. Start by putting color on. You don't have to paint it in any certain form. Just get your color on. I like to let my colors bump into each other. It's even mixing a little. We want to put a good bit of color on there, so don't be afraid to let it be thick. I'm going to just fill up this whole side of my paper. This is kind of fun. All right, so I have my paint on one side of my paper. I'm going to fold it over and I'm going to gently rub all over my paper. This is letting the paint do the symmetry for us. Once you feel like you've rubbed every part where you laid the paint down, we can open it up and take a look. So cool. So up here, the orange paint made a little line going this way, and it has a symmetrical line on the other side. Where my pink has a stripe over here, my pink has a stripe on this side. This side has a big circle of blue. This side does too. They maybe could have used a little bit more paint right there, but it's still the same idea, right? This is symmetry using paint. So if you're doing this, you would set this aside and let it dry, and then you would come back after it was dry and you would fold your paper back over, and then you would cut out your butterfly shape, and you would have something like this. I like to leave them kind of folded up so it looks like it's flying. You could even, if it was okay, you could pin it somewhere and its wings would be standing up. I think that's kind of cool. If you're using watercolor, really the only difference is that you're going to fold your paper more often. So you would go through the same way and you would add a little bit of color there, and then go ahead and fold your paper and rub, because it absorbs a little more quickly into the paper. You have to move a little more speedily. And if I wanted to add some blue, then I would come add it down here. That blue's not quite as dark, so it's probably going to be a little lighter when I fold it. And then I would open it up and have my blue on both sides. This is kind of cool. Look, I splattered and it even did it on both sides. And you would just keep going. I think you get the idea. Some of these brighter colors like reds and purples might show up better in the watercolor. It's just a little more pale. But you would just fold each time, and in the end, once you've let your paper dry, you could have something like this. My friends using crayons. We get to cut out first. So let me show you what this cutout looks. If you're waiting for your paper to dry, watch this part too, because this will be how you cut yours out. Notice my paper's folded again, like a book, like the cover of my book. Here's my fold line. I'm going to cut on the line that I created. Don't forget, keep your scissors straight. Let your paper do the turning. Right, we can get rid of that outside part and we can open up our butterfly. And now we get to start designing our butterfly. We have a little more control over how we design our butterfly this way. So if I added a blue circle on this side, then I would go over and put a blue circle on the other side. And if I added a purple swoosh on this side, I would go back and add a purple swoosh on the other side. You can continue to color in as you go, and you could color your whole butterfly in if you would like, or you could just leave part of it white and color in the design. I think that looks cool too. And if you're interested, I went back and folded my paper over, and I cut a little bit of a body of a butterfly on here. Let me trace it with a pencil to show you. You want to leave a finger space, maybe 2 finger space from the top, and draw a little wavy line. You want to make sure that you have at least 2 finger space from the bottom too. If you cut all the way off the edge, you're going to end up with 2 pieces of a butterfly wing. So you got to leave space on both sides, and notice my wavy line is in the middle. And then I simply can cut out on my wavy line. And when I open it up, it looks like I have the body of my butterfly in the center. Kind of a fun add-on. It still can fold up like this, or you could put it on a piece of paper so that you can see this really cool space in the middle. Well, that was a lot of fun, and there were several different ways to go about this project, but each of them created symmetry. I hope that you enjoyed this project. Send me a picture if you can. I would love to see which one of these ways you used in your own artwork. If you have any questions, let me know as well. I'll see you back here next week in the art room.